Alright, and I found it in my agenda. Yeah, that's right.
I can go right on this.
7:30. All right, we'll call this meeting to order. This is the special budget evaluation team meeting of Monday, April 22nd. Roll call looks like everybody's here. Jason just stepped out. The court clerk's office has a guest in here, non-voting, but a welcome participant into our meeting today. Notice the meeting was properly posted on April the 10th. Item number 1, discussion, possible action regarding the minutes of April 9th and April 17th.
I'll move the minutes of April 9th and April 17th.
Second. Got a motion and a second to approve the minutes of April 9th and April 17th. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you for whoever sent this agenda down to me. Item 2, discussion and possible action regarding any items currently on the BET watch list. Do we have anything we need to go over at this point? If not, we will move down into departmental items. Cassie, who do we have scheduled first?
So I have Juvenile Bureau.
Okay. All right. I believe Juvenile is towards the end. If you were tracking on your agenda. Item number 26, discussion and possible action regarding the FY 24-25 estimate of needs for juvenile detention. Hannah, welcome.
Right on time.
We were timing that via text.
Yeah, I wanted to make a dramatic entrance. I don't have anything super exciting, so I didn't bring any Kinko's packets or handouts for you.
2 years in a row.
Yeah. There's not anything too wild on there. For detention, we've asked for a slight increase in M&O, just food costs and utilities. There was a formula error on our estimate of needs, so they sent it back to me, and I missed putting on travel. I just forgot to plug in. We haven't asked for any changes on that. I just forgot to plug it in. So we've sent Jennifer the updated attachment, but I just wanted to let you know there will be a slight change to that one. But no new positions, nothing too terribly exciting. We have put on capital for our air rooftop units for both D1 and D2. It's the next phase of the ones that are going out. We will probably have to do something with those before summer hits. So between that and we did a grant for our dishwasher. We're just waiting on that reimbursement to come in, but that was a little over $20,000. And so if that reimbursement doesn't come in before the end of the year, I'm planning on coming sometime during one of your meetings next week and throwing a little bit of that on your watch list, just so in case that reimbursement doesn't come in, I may get too close on M&O. But we're tracking where we'll just slide into home right now, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we won't need that.
With that reimbursement, though, wasn't that coming into
General fund? Yes.
So it won't come into
right.
Your
it won't come
anyway,
straight to me. Right. So but I'm not sure. I wanted to wait until it comes in to do any of that because I won't know exactly. They have an option. And Nikki's looking at that, helping me because they are waiting until, for people who went over, they're waiting until the end to give us the reimbursement. That way, if they can cover the overage, they will. So we're really hoping that they're able to cover the full amount. I think I was $2,000 short in that. By the time we went to order it, prices of course went up. So I'll have that for you sometime next week. But I wanted to get the hard numbers on that before I brought it. And then with payouts in the last 2 months, my average payout is between $6,000 and $9,000 a month usually. The last 2 pay periods, I've paid almost $70,000 in payouts. And it's not holiday, it's not comp, it's 98% vacation leave. I've had 2 people who had over 20 years leave, and then I've got one that just left Friday with 15 years. I have another that leaves next month with almost 20 years of service, and they max out their vacation leave, and then when they go to leave, I'm paying out 480 hours at their hourly rate, and the last 2 pay periods have absolutely killed me. I've paid almost $70,000 in payouts the last 2 pay periods, so I'm really hoping that I won't need additional funding. I wanted to wait and see what April looks like, but those vacation payouts have just absolutely killed me the last 2 pay periods. So I'm hoping not to need anything, but I'm going to put something on your watch list anyway, just in case.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
What were you saying about capital and before summer?
So for our D1 and D2, our rooftop units,
That's
one
not
of
District
them,
1 and District 2.
right? Day room
Right.
D1 and day room D2. If they wanted to sponsor or adopt a unit, we would be happy to.
So
But-
you're looking at 2.
Yes, it depends on the compressor. It's one of those like waiting games. If we can band-aid it, we're going to, but it'll only band-aid so far. And whether it's 1 compressor or 2 is the difference between 20,000 or 40,000. So Esterbrock's really going to get into it. The weather's got to be warm enough for it to be really running heavy for him to see how bad it's going to be. So right now we're kind of playing the up and down game with the weather. So it's working well right now. Hopefully we will get a little further before they decide to give out, but we've already had to do major renovations on the other 2 units. So it's very, very likely that they will not last the summer for me. So it is on my estimate of needs for next year. I was able to recoup. I've had hot water heaters on your list for a hot minute. I was able to absorb either 2 or 3 of those this year. So that was one I was able to make through.
I've been meaning to call you to verify that because I was thinking you did.
Yes.
We have them on the watch list currently
Yes.
on those hot water heaters.
Yes. I have that in my brain also earmarked for my 4th floor AC unit. It's been operating the past 2 years because there hasn't been anybody up there. We are occupying up there now, and the DA will move up there very soon. So we're going to see how that unit handles the new workload. So with air conditioning all over, I'm excited about the summer months. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, if you would verify that all your hot water tanks have been taken care of.
I will.
And if so, we can remove those from the watch list. And then if we need to add something else for
Right.
the AC on the 4th floor or these other 2 units, let us know and we can try to get
I
those
know that
on.
we've in D-Commons, we've replaced 3 out of the 4, and the 4th one is operating well right now. So now they were all put in at the same time, so if 3 went down, more than likely there may be 1, but we've been getting those for between 11 and 12,000. So should I get to June, I would hope that I would have that amount to be able to cover 1 if I have to, but I'll get those hard numbers and bring them to you guys.
Okay.
Do you, not to put you on the spot, and if we need to check, do you know if you were funded for any one-time things this fiscal year, the one we're finishing up?
I know that we had, I know that the capital money that was in there, I had earmarked for the chiller. So there was already a substantial amount of capital in there for me to earmark that. There wasn't a great difference. So I know that I was funded for some things. I can't remember off the top of my head because I know we were funded for some, but then ARPA took the place of some of those. So I can't remember off the top of my head what they were for.
It may be kind of our approach July 1 to do a kind of a flat budget.
Right.
If people had one-time expenditures that were
Right.
taken care of, we back it out.
Absolutely.
Probably. Just for July 1.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for Hannah?
Good work. It's always-
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And we may have more
course.
questions, throughout the process, but I appreciate your info.
On detention and bureau, that capital is split, so you'll see that same project hit on both. And then on all the other 3 special revenue funds, there's no changes.
Any questions? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to receive the estimate of needs?
So moved. Second.
And a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, we've got emergency management. Mr. Barnes.
Is this the preferred spot this year?
Wherever you want to go.
I like it. It's good.
Go ahead.
Thank you all. I have 5 different cost centers. I'm going to go through the first 4 rather quickly. As you're probably remembering, they have no true budgetary implications. There's no request or funding liability for county. The first is Local Emergency Planning Committee, or LEPC. The second is Emergency Management Performance Grant, which is, as the name implies, a performance grant that we receive. Fortunately, it's been continuous every year. It's a $60,000 grant that we receive quarterly increments of $15,000 every year, and that is still in place. Although I did hear from the state office that they have about a $450,000 cut in their portion of the MPG, which is a direct reflection on what they're able to provide for the local jurisdictions. So we'll see if anything happens next fiscal year. They're not anticipating anything, so we'll see. Third one is the what I call the combination account. That's some leftover fire management assistance grant money. There's like $2.88 in that. It's a FEMA pilot project overrun funds from an ice storm in 2007, and you may remember the infamous Luther copper theft reimbursement. And this account has remainder of funds in those 3 areas in there. And there are, again, no budgetary implications or requests. The next one is the Communications Infrastructure Fund. That's the money that we use to keep the radio tower out in Spencer Jones in shape, keep up with constant changes in the communications environment. No requests or anything implications in that, although we did receive unofficial notification that one of our tenants is apparently going to be removing themselves from that tower during this fiscal year. We're still under a lease agreement. And if that happens, it's because of a merger with T-Mobile and Sprint. Sprint has elected to not renew that, allegedly. I haven't seen anything formal. So that will end up with an $11,000 reduction in that income for that particular account. And that's the 4 that really have no implications. General fund is the one that has the obvious implications. And a couple of items there. Personnel costs. I requested a $3,000 increase for the project specialist, and that's due to some significant job duty changes. What that gentleman is doing for us very heavily in technology, and it's a good time to put in a shameless plug for what the assessor's office is doing in Esri and GIS related stuff. That project is moving forward very nicely, and we've got some very significant tools that Mr. Rutledge has been able to develop with assistance of folks over in the assessor's office. If you're out to your offices, have a look into that. I strongly recommend it, particularly the highway districts. There's some really great applications for that project. But I'm requesting an increase for him because of the change in job duties there. I requested a $1,500 increase for the office assistant, primarily to a lot of significant activities that she's having to perform for 2 other Oklahoma County departments that are well outside of her job description and the original scope of work when she was hired. Travel, requested a $2,500 increase. That is reflective of the increase in personnel and also the increased technical aspects, primarily what Mr. Rutledge is doing. The user conferences, and Mike's familiar with those. That's one of the biggies that we're participating in every year, which is a pretty big deal in that arena. So there's a slight increase there of $2,500 requested. Maintenance and operations, I reorganized a couple of those areas. Telecom services, I have requested $10,000 in that, which is actually a reduction of $5,000. I moved some of the items that were originally in there over to professional services, where I requested $9,500. And I've requested a $2,000 increase in vehicle fuel. So the total in the request is $94,950, which is actually decreased slightly, $1,490, I believe, from last year. Capital outlay, the computer equipment. Item number 1 there is for computer upgrades and replacements, primarily due to Windows 10 expirations that are being forced upon us. 6 computers and 2 smart boards, looking at $11,450 there. The The fire department public safety equipment, item number 2, is a combination of 2 items. You're probably familiar with and remember the cabin chassis provision that we've been doing for fire rescue departments in Oklahoma County. This is to purchase 2 of those again this year, as we've been doing for multiple years in the past. And the second item is for 2 additional outdoor warning devices or storm sirens that would be going to the unincorporated areas. We've been very fortunate and able to expand that system incrementally to get increased information out to the public in regards to severe weather, which starts yesterday or something like that, whatever. This week for sure. Total capital request is $211,450. I'd be happy to address any questions or concerns.
Anybody got anything for Mr. Barnes?
I just want to say we're excited too with the program and how it's working and everything that's being built for that. So utilization is coming along just as we had talked about and thought about. So it's great to see that.
It really is a good thing.
I must be missing something on the capital because you're asking for less capital this year, right?
Well, that form reflects when we transferred, I believe it was $65,000 because of the 90% rule.
Okay.
So it was reflected as the actual budget allocation, but it was taken back out.
Yeah, that's
So that's
confusing that
confusing.
that's in there.
Yeah, and I think most of us have, or I shouldn't say most, many of us, I think, have probably kind of seen that on our estimate of needs. I think for next year, and we kind of talked about this a little bit in the past, but going into next year, I think we need to figure out a way to structure this to where we don't get that confusion. I don't know what the answer is exactly, but I think we can probably come up with something that's going to annotate what's happened, but still not be
On the estimate of needs here.
Yeah, Brandon, that's a challenge for us when we buy those cabin chassis because that is a large dollar purchase, and our capital expenditures are typically so comparatively low that one purchase knocks us into the 90%.
Sure.
So we had to transfer some salary over, which is what we did, and then when we lifted the rule, we were able to transfer that back.
I think maybe in the future getting a clarification, because I'm not exactly clear whenever I read the statutes on the 90%, whether it applies to each line item, whether it's salary, benefits, travel, M&O, and capital, or if
Or
it's
the
your
whole-
overall budget.
yeah.
I tend to think it's your overall budget and not each individual line item, and that might solve, if that is the case, that might solve some of the
That would be great.
unnecessary transfers
I actually
during the
asked-
year, but I could be wrong on that, so.
Now, I asked that specific question several months ago during the previous budget year because of the same situation last year, and I received conflicting responses, so it's kind of, that clarification would be great.
I've asked it and I've been told that I'm right, but whenever I've asked for the written follow-up, I've not gotten it, so I don't know it.
I understand.
So
I thought Danny had always said it was on an expense category level.
he
but-
did. I've asked the auditor and I've
Okay.
been told that it may not be that way, but maybe it is, I don't know. But if we can get it figured out and if it is the other way and we don't have to transfer in the middle of the year just because
watch
of the
your bottom
90%.
line.
Exactly. Yeah. Which makes sense because it's, you want to make sure that you're not going to overspend until we get a certain amount in. But with budget board being able to, your money's there. I mean, as long as you're not spending over 90% of what's in your budget total. So, but we can try to figure that out. But I do think there are transfers before the February snapshot that we do that aren't related to the 90% rule that would still be reflective on the estimated needs and be a little bit confusing. So I think it's 2 things that maybe we can try to get figured out going into next year.
That would be helpful.
Okay. Anything else? All right, do I have a motion to receive
So
the
moved.
estimate of needs?
I'll
Got a
second.
motion and a second to receive the estimate of needs. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. All right, I think free fare is next, is that right? Good. Howdy. How are we?
Now, why'd you say that?
I say howdy to everybody.
You did not.
I do too.
It's because he has a cowboy hat on.
It's all right, I can take whatever he says.
I appreciate you coming. This is 2 years in a row.
Yes,
You have free
they
fair.
haven't assassinated or impeached me yet, so.
And I apologize, I couldn't meet with you
Oh,
earlier.
no,
I
Betty.
had a meeting and I just couldn't get away.
You know, I'm gonna start twisting tails here after a bit on some of this stuff, so. I'm used to sitting at this table, or at a table, not asking for money, because we can make it where we're self-supporting if we go the right direction. But we ask just for the same, nothing crazy. If you want numbers, our numbers are going up with kids, they're all moving out in the county, or eastern Oklahoma County, and we're gonna have a little excess to spend. I'd love to get it where we can have a rollover fund to build up for bigger or better stuff in the next year.
Yeah.
Instead of, okay, this is what we gotta figure it out to. I'm not a politician and you know that, so. You got any questions, just hit me, I can.
Well, it looks to me like you're asking for a reduction of 5360. Is that what everybody else is showing?
Mm-hmm,
I don't know how that happened,
mm-hmm.
but whatever.
You went down in a couple of areas in M&O, premiums and awards,
Yes, Okay.
equipment.
cause, how do I wanna say this? We got away from the state fair park, so we saved some money.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we've juggled a lot of balls to put this thing on, just because we're not dealing with big entities.
Sure.
So if you would just, because it's showing like a $5,360 reduction.
Okay.
If you would just make sure that that is
Correct.
correct.
We'll have
If it's not, just resubmit it to the
Okay.
clerk's office. If it is, we'll just move forward.
No, I just soon, we got other stuff we can purchase, and we're just trying to keep it on a tight budget.
Okay. I agree with you on rollover and all of that. I think if eventually we can find a way to get the
Our
county
own-
fairgrounds,
our
our
own
own
facilities.
fairgrounds, to where when you're not using them, you can
Rent them out.
rent them out.
That
and-
way you're making money, we're outside Oklahoma City, I'm not.
Well, we could actually, in the largest county in the state, actually have fair rides and
Yes.
stuff, right? Which we never do.
Yes,
We've never had.
but
So,
I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole, I mean,
yeah.
I'm
But I
trying
would
to
like,
crawl here before I run.
I would love for us eventually to be in that position where
Because
we
if
can
we're-
do that. So,
If we get on fair facilities, then the rental of the building, stuff like that, then you're showing an income from us, we're self-supporting. I mean, you could keep the facility rented 50 weeks out of the year. I mean, like weekends or wedding venues, livestock shows, if you do it right, you'll stay busy.
well, I think we got some good leadership over there now that's really looking at this stuff. So let's continue, and we can maybe the districts and maybe through policy and governance and some different areas,
Well,
infrastructure,
That's
try
why
to
I'm
figure out a way.
learning this side of it to know, I'm not a politician. I mean, I'm just knocking on the door, let's talk.
Well,
But anything you can do to help us, I mean, if you want to increase it by 20%, I mean, it's going to help the kids. I mean, it will.
yeah.
But we're working on infrastructure, just like that building, we never used the little storage facility because we're never coming into the city. So we're just storing stuff at Jones and all, but we outgrew them. Keep saying that, we've outgrown Jones. When you have 300 plus hogs, where we used to park trucks and trailers, now they're building a weight room. So they're slowly pushing us out. And they'd love to take it back to State Fair Park, but I don't have the budget to rent the thing for a week. When you're looking maybe 30, 40,000, there goes the budget right there. We hadn't done nothing.
Yeah.
That's me trying not to step on toes.
Well, I think there's a way that we got to be able to get there eventually. So,
Oh, I've already talked with you.
I know.
I can hit the ground running. I mean, y'all the one tell me slow down here, so. I'm used to dealing with outside money and entities and running like a business.
yeah.
Well, I hate showing up with my hat in my hand to ask for help. Any questions, please?
Anybody got any questions? Looks like no.
Well, heck, I didn't need to put 2 hours on parking.
Better be
That's
safe
best
than
case
sorry.
scenario.
Yeah.
I don't want to pull that 4-wheel dually out of there. But honest, I'll look at the meeting, we have a meeting tomorrow night, and but I don't want a reduction. We got skills, more skills back, more computers, I mean, we're
Yeah.
coming along.
Okay, well then if you would, go ahead and submit the new one
Okay.
to the clerk's office that does not show.
And see, that's where we're tied in with OSU, I mean, they're
Yeah,
telling us what we need to do, we know what we need to do.
Cassie, can you send an email out to them?
Yes,
Thank you. Cassie will get with LaDonna, send an email out.
If that don't work, call me, tell me, I'll go bang heads when you're done.
All right. well,
I
thank you, sir.
appreciate it, I'll start to slap the chair up and sit down.
Thank you. Have at it.
Okay, thanks y'all.
Jason doesn't bite down there.
Alright, we got it. Thank y'all.
You bet. All right, did we receive that one?
We haven't.
Do we have a motion to receive the free fares
Motion.
estimate of needs? We got a motion to receive.
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Election board. Hey, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good.
We didn't ask for a big increase with the large election year coming up this year, but we did with part-time salaries, and the reason why is because our deputies' pay we had to raise in order to get them to come in. We're having a hard time finding deputies that would come in and work for us because our pay was lower than most of where they go and work or volunteer. It's not volunteer, but you know. So we've asked for that, also just because we're gonna be busier and we'll need the additional help. Postage, we're just asking for a $20,000 increase for that, just because absentees and, milling for polling locations, precinct officials. We went to milling their checks now instead of them getting them on election day. And then the polling place rental has increased a little bit. The reason being is we'll have 2 elections to pay for, the August and the November election. Parking just went up because the rate adjusted, and then a postage meter increased because we had to get a bigger postage machine. So.
Kelly, real quick, going back, when you mentioned deputies, are you talking about security?
Mhm.
Okay. Have you reached out, and I don't know if there's availability, but talk to the sheriff's office to see if there's any reserve deputies that might want to
That's
earn
what we
their
use.
hours?
Yes, but we did talk to, I cannot remember his name, one underneath Tawny. We talked to him and he came and met with us. So he had agreed that in order to help us, that he would also give them hours. So pay plus hours. So that's
You're
what-
having problems with people getting them at all with pay?
Mhm.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
we experience that quite a bit. There's we've got, I mean, every single day there's 30 jobs that we can't fill. I mean, there's just so many jobs paying stupid money right now.
There is, and
Yeah.
that's what we've been told. And so we increased it in hopes, and we've been able to have the deputy there. We have no other options. It's the law. So, but what we're also needing is just extra security. I mean, it's getting a little tense. You know, the closer we get, the more angrier people are getting. So it's just having them there more and longer than what we used to, just because of the situation.
Okay.
So.
You know what the rate was versus what it is?
It was 25, we moved it up to 35, and it's still not.
Yeah.
We've been told 45 is really the rate that we need to be at.
You don't remember who you talked to, Anderson or Avery?
It would be Anderson.
Okay.
Thank you. All right.
All right, anybody else have any questions? All right, seeing none, we have a motion to receive the estimate of needs.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to receive the estimate of needs. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. DA. DA. How's it going?
Good.
Which one you want to start on, state or county?
Well, let's start with state because I'm requesting the same thing as I requested last year.
Okay.
And county's really not out any money in the state budget, so state request.
Okay. Any questions on state? If not, move over to county.
County, I requested an increase of $6,000 on publications because everything's going up and our new public information officers requested a couple of subscriptions to Hootsuite. It's something else that I didn't really understand what it was. And I requested the copier lease to increase by 1,000 because our copier leases are coming up for renewal. And I highly doubt they'll go down any. We don't know exactly what it's going to be yet. But.
So, believe it or not, we redid ours last year. I hadn't redone it in like 3 or 4 years, however long those last. And ours went down.
Really? That's surprising.
Yeah, I was shocked.
But that's only 2 changes I made.
I think we were just in a really bad one or something. Where? Yeah. I don't know. All right. Any questions? If not, we have a motion to receive the state and county DA's estimate of needs.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Mr. Trumbo, county engineer is up. Sorry.
Need one for basically 597, 620, not a huge increase. Majority of that's driven by an employee that's going from single coverage to family coverage, that's 14,000. And then you have about 3,000 in there for your inflation on things like copiers and plotters and fuel for the vehicles. And then I do have about $5,000 in there for employee retention. Got a very small staff, 4 people, got a lot of ARPA projects, got the new jail going. Can't afford to lose employees and been on the ground floor of those. The learning curve's just too high. And I did lose an employee this year, so I have to replace that with probably a college graduate, which will be a high learning curve.
Any questions? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to receive?
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to receive the engineering estimate of needs. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. MIS, Dane.
Yeah, good afternoon. Ours is pretty simple again, just like it usually is. Flat budget on salary, flat budget on capital. I think we've requested a small decrease in travel just because we don't do much travel outside of Tyler Connect. So it just seems kind of goofy to keep asking for the same amount. The only increase we're really asking for is on M&O, and that's just cost of doing business. Subscriptions go up, circuits go up, software goes up. So, any questions on that so far?
On your software as a service, SAS, is that just related to the contractual increases that we have on?
Yeah,
Tyler
Tyler goes up every year.
Yeah.
Carpel's gonna go up every year.
And those are based on those percentages that are in the contract?
It's just percentages that we estimate. Sometimes they come in, sometimes they don't, but it's a good guess.
When are you gonna have those?
On May or June, whenever they send the contracts over. That's something Charlotte usually gets on in March and really has been, but can't always get them to send stuff over until we get closer to the end of the fiscal year.
So once again, if we start out flat and then look at whatever
Yeah,
those
come
increases are.
Right. Okay. The only other thing I have, if there's no more questions on that, is a couple of years ago I made a pitch to this board to consolidate all of the invoicing for our Microsoft 365 to our department, just for ease of invoicing and so forth. And because Microsoft doesn't split it out like we do budgetary wise when it comes time to assign licenses and reclaim licenses and so forth. They just see it as one giant pool. And so when you split it out the way we split it out, what you end up with is offices who feel they're entitled to what they've paid for, which I understand that, but Microsoft doesn't see it that way. So once again, I'm going to be here asking for the same thing again. So if there's any questions on that, I'm happy to take it.
So right now, paying for those is in everybody's, like, there's pockets of.
There's small pockets,
budget.
right? Yeah, obviously, Christy, your office is not on 365, so this is irrelevant conversation for you, but in your office. But yeah, I mean, we carry a majority of them between all the BOCC departments, the DA's office, juvenile, election board, stuff like that. But you've got the assessor, you've got the sheriff's office, and you've got the county clerk that are, well, on our tenant, because it's one tenant, do their own separate invoicing. So.
Well, I think if we were gonna move over into that, I mean, we've kind of had these conversations in the past as well. You know, if that's budgeted elsewhere, if we roll it all into there, we need to figure out what's budgeted where and then move those budget dollars over so that we don't have an increase here and it still be funded elsewhere. So
Sure.
we need to know that.
Oh, yeah. No, I get the process.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing it one more time just because I'm the one who sees the questions come in for invoicing and going, hey, you know, we did this, and what's this, and we have this, we should have this, but we're getting invoiced for this. And Marcy, I see you nodding your head, you know what I'm talking about.
Our line item was like $80,000, I think. What's odd is, I think we got the $80,000 from Aegis at one point somehow, so it's kind of been like a shell game with the programs that you manage, but we use. So yeah, we're happy to write that off.
Such is my life.
We're happy to write that off for our budget sitting over there.
It just makes it easier. It makes it easier when it comes time to somebody does a group of hiring. The problem with splitting it out like that, and the scenario that we run into is, choose the assessor's office. Let's say they've got 73 licenses that they feel they're supposed to have because that's what they paid for, and maybe you're full. And then let's say you have 2 people leave, but we don't necessarily know that because you manage your own accounts. So those 2 licenses don't really get reclaimed necessarily, or they get reclaimed. We've got a pool of, let's say, Brandy, let's say District 2 hires 2 new people a week later. Well, the pool just says, hey, there's 2 licenses available. Here's 2 new accounts. Let's go ahead and assign them. Mm-hmm. And then Mike and his team decide, hey, 3 weeks later, here's our 2 new people. Where's our licenses? Well, Microsoft didn't do it that way. Sorry, they're not there.
So,
but it's easier if we all have it. I can just go reserve 10. I don't have to worry about the funding or who should get invoiced or who's, what department or office it's going to. Just take care of it.
Okay, well, I think reach out to those that aren't part of your 365 environment right now.
Right.
From the funding mechanism and see if everybody has the same response that Brandon did. If they do, then just find out what that line item is.
Sure.
And make sure that they're in agreement with that and then bring that back and we can look at moving it from those individual departments over into yours.
Sure. How many departments do the way we do? 3. And how many departments do the way we don't do?
County clerk.
Okay, and how many departments don't do what we do?
All of the VOCC departments.
Okay.
Juvenile. election board. Things that we're responsible for from an IT perspective.
So what about the other two? They don't use Microsoft 365?
Right, treasurer's not on 365, court clerk is on the state. So I'm sure you're on 365, but it's not a county.
Okay.
We don't do their data, so.
Okay.
That'd be an OSC thing. So we're really talking about 3 offices.
Okay. Do you have ours? Right now,
There's one.
Progress.
Yeah, progress. Small steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I've got, just while I'm sitting there waiting to do this, is when Hannah was given her thing and talking about a computational error in the sheet, Charlotte sent me a note that said we have a small one on our M&O that adjusted like $47 and some change on the Ozarka water line. So Jennifer, she's going to send you over an updated EON here shortly if she hasn't already. It just accounts for that $47 and I think 50 cents.
I see.
Okay, so you guys will send an updated.
If she hasn't already, yeah.
Okay. Then we don't necessarily need to receive this one today if we're gonna get an updated one, and then we can just receive the updated one at a later meeting.
So what's the plan then for this? So if that's something the board is agreeable to, then do I need to resubmit an S&C without that line item on mine, and then you resubmit one with yours?
That would seem to make sense.
I mean, even if the other two departments don't do it.
Right.
I don't know why we would continue to do it.
Right.
Do you pay some of the licenses out of your any of your special
We
revenues?
don't.
So it's all out of general?
Yeah, there's an $80,000 line item, and again, it came from MIS to begin with, from Aegis, because I think we fought this battle like 200 years ago, where we had Aegis.
Software, but yes.
Yeah, where we had Aegis, and then they had it under their budget, we had it under our budget, then we ended up giving it to them because it's kind of the same scenario, and then somehow it's back, so.
Yeah, it's similar to the original Tyler contracts we split with the county clerk's office. Like we paid the first 6 months invoice and they paid the next 6 months or whichever. And it's, for simplicity, it's just easier to give it to one office, that being us. So,
Yeah, I think it's just one less example of us trying to find the ball under the cup.
Right.
So.
But that's entertaining.
No, especially for the
Not
county.
for our vendor when they get it wrong.
We have enough balls and cups to be entertained with,
Sure
so,
do right now.
yeah.
Sometimes I feel like the ice cream guy on a long stick. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, the turkey,
Okay, well, it sounds like, the sheriff's, we're gonna go over their budget here in a little while, but yeah, go ahead and if you want to do that, send it over and he'll add that to his and you'll subtract it from yours, and then if anybody else wants to do that, we can
Sure.
look at that.
Jason, since you're the only office I haven't talked to with regards to this, who do you want me to speak to with? If that's something you guys
My
are
boss, Carrie.
able to. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure he'd probably be happy to let go of it. Just one less thing for him to manage. And it's really simpler all the way around.
Okay.
When it comes to true up time. All right, any other questions?
Nope, just, I guess, once you find out these, then submit with that 4750, and then we'll receive the updated one at that time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Looks like you might get your wish after all.
Maybe.
All right, let's go ahead and do benefits then, because sheriff's office representation will be here, assuming through the end of the meeting, so.
not just me.
You know what, I was gonna play a song to begin this meeting and I totally forgot.
Well, we have more meetings.
That we do.
We're still on this one.
You're gonna play the, tell me what you want, what you really want.
Oh.
You're supposed to do that.
I know, and I just never thought about it. I will try to cue it up before next meeting.
You got the important things on.
Well, now you ruined the surprise.
I know. The execution will be flawless.
We might get, it's already in my.
That's true, because we are on YouTube. We'll get copyrighted.
So you just have to do your own rendition.
Yeah.
You have to
Make
do a
it
cover.
your own.
Do your own cover.
Yeah.
I gotta find the costume.
Oh, no.
You can send some of my Halloween costume. I don't know that I can do that up here. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I embarrass my wife. My kids love it, but my wife is just like, when we go
John, yours looks
trick-or-treating.
easy.
It is.
All right, John,
You all are ready?
we're ready.
Okay. Really the only changes I note on this, basically flat budget. Travel reserved or determined unencumbered was 3,000. I'm not gonna use that, so this total 6,000 will go back from travel. Only other difference is on the merit increases. Part of that has not been given or will not be given or hasn't been addressed yet, but that's included in the budget. Money's in our budget. I think that's the same as some other departments. So that's just kind of sitting there. Those are only two things to note on our budget.
Okay. Any questions?
It just seems like there should be.
We'll go through and have more conversations on these as we move through. John, thank you. Do we have a motion to receive the estimate of needs?
So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. All right, Sheriff's Office.
All right, so have the standard 4 estimates of need. 3 of those, you know, I don't know what the phrase line that emergency management uses, but 3 of them are our special revenue funds, so they don't have any implications to county. So I think those are more, you know, notification in nature. So normally our 1160 fund is the one that's the least restricted. So that's the one where we try to do all of our true M&O cost out of, for the most part. The only oddity to that is there's 4 line items on general fund. We'll talk about those, but so 1160, there is quite a few changes in 1160 this month or this year. Mainly it's SROs, and that's gone from 18 to 29 SROs, but every one of those positions are 100% funded. So that's just kind of unheard of. No law enforcement agency around the country is able to get 100% funding on those, because they either have the school either has a budget for it, or that the office has a budget. So that's kind of a unique. That's kind of a unique thing. So anyway, there's not really anything out of whack there. Again, it does look like the employees have gone up, but every one of those positions that have been added, 38 to 51, there's no liability at all. It's all 100% funded.
I appreciate you guys working on that. I know we've had these conversations in the past. I think pre-Tommy, it was probably around 72, 73% that was covered.
Yeah.
And that was even up from before. And I get where the schools, you know, don't want to pay 100% because they don't have them the whole time. But if we didn't have that program, we wouldn't have the employees the whole time either. And you guys really worked hard to get that there. And I think that it's a win-win.
Yeah. Now, in full disclosure, not every SRO is fully funded, but all the new ones are, and then we're gradually increasing. There's an increase of I can't remember off the top of my head. This is not. I don't do the contract side of it, but about $50 per deputy per day for every school. So there's a sizable increase that we'll see coming in this year. So you know, our revenues versus our expenditures kind of looks wonky. But the real problem is we just don't really know what those numbers are yet. I mean, some of the school boards may say, no, we can't afford that. Yes, we can. So that's kind of up in the air right now for us. We don't really have a better idea of that until later. But anyway, that's 1160. 1161 and 1162, those are actually both super simple. They're so heavily restricted, we can't really use them for anything outside of what they're intended for. 1161 is things like federal asset forfeiture, drug fund, 911, and then there's a super awkward like jail fund that's in there, a jail maintenance fund that is I don't know why we get it anymore, but it literally is just going to grow until forever because we can't use it. But training fund is very specific what's allowed to be spent. You know, we'll spend that money on. The drug fund the same way, the federal asset forfeiture same way, 911 fees the same way. We only have one employee that comes out of 1161, and that's the dispatch supervisor. That only comes out of the 911 fees. So And then 1162 is the grant funds. The grant funding is mainly our traffic safety. The JAG grant is a kind of a pass-through, to be honest. It's it's money that we get from Oklahoma City, and then we turn right around and give it back to Oklahoma City because of our radio contract. So again, just kind of another fun shell game that we're showing it in, showing it out. And then general fund. General fund, we had all negative changes this year. So there was no salary difference. There was a $7,200 decrease on our benefits. And the M&O was the same, except for I just took out the 80,000. So on mine, but as far as what we have in front of us, we're down $7,284 this year for our total ask. You think I learned my lesson not to give money back, but we are. So and so anyway, that's kind of where our general fund is. There's one thing I would like to point out on the salary computation page is that, and really, there's no changes as far as the number of employees. I wanted to be, fully open on moving a position. We did move a position, but the job title didn't change. It just changed supervisor. So it was more of a, internal organizational thing for us. It had nothing really to do with the position. We need the position. We still have the position.
It didn't change your bottom line.
Yeah, it didn't change that. Again, it just moved that person. So it was purely that the person in that position was reporting more to finance than they were to the other group, just based on what they do with, based on what they do in investigations. So. So if they're in evidence investigation, it's kind of a weird, one of those oddities that we're kind of required to have. So anyway, we're not asking for anything else. We're actually trying to give a little bit back this year.
Refreshing. Let's go.
Any questions? If not, is there a motion to, well, you know what? We can wait to receive because you'll send an updated one.
I actually already emailed it to them. So one thing I will put out there, I am asking for a decrease. We're doing some potential work with the courthouse and the judges, looking at potentially restructuring how we set up courthouse security. I don't anticipate an ask for that later on in the year, but I at least want to put it out there on the record. Right now, I think we've got a workaround that would accommodate both our budget interests and the estimates we need. But again, I just wanted to put that out there. In the event, nobody's shocked if I have to come back and ask for 65 deputies. Probably not that many. So,
you know what? We could we can receive the estimate of needs that are not the general fund. That way we don't have to come back and do those because there won't be alterations to those. So is there a motion to receive the sheriff estimate of needs sans the general fund?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. All right. Is that all we got for today?
Well, they have a presentation. The assessor's office does.
okay. First item, the fit that paper.
Okay.
It's for the
Yeah.
2024 presentation.
All right.
We just wanted to present the document that we give for the estimated budget,
Mm-hmm.
and it just says, we take the numbers, we ran numbers about a week ago, take those numbers and then estimate what we think it'll add the tips in and 5-year exemptions, additional homestead, which we don't receive and all that. The real estate, we're still in the process of doing hearings at column number, or row number 1. So we did adjust that down. And then the line number 2, the personal, that is the number that we're at as of right now. We're only about halfway through all the business accounts. since they just have to file by March 15th, so that's why it's showing the negative there. It should go up, but can't guarantee anything. Those are the numbers that we had as of that date. Public service are the ones that are filed, given to us by the tax commission in middle of July, so let's hope they don't go. Hopefully they shouldn't go down at all. And then the next section is all the TIFs. As you can see, the TIFs went up quite a bit. There's a few that went down on the year, but the majority of them have went up. There is one more TIF that is not on here that I know will be going on this year. It's in Midwest City. We have not received everything yet to put it on, but when we have after we get all the real numbers, it will be on there. So just to let you know, there will be one more added on there. And then, other than that, yeah, you can see the 5-year reimbursement. It will be reimbursed this year, but it's from last year's is on there. And then the estimated, the amount as of now for 2024, which be reimbursed in the previous year, we have include that number on there as of today. If there are any other questions, I can answer. So it shows a total gross increase of 2.86% from last year's tax roll as of now.
I believe Mr. Monroe, he came by earlier today talking about contracts for next year and said CPI was 3.4%. That's what he was operating off of. So it's like right now inflation is higher than what we are projecting our revenue increase to be. So
Yeah, just to point out that 3.82 is what comes out of general fund growth to TIF. That number is just inching up higher and higher annually. And of course, as more TIFs come on, that will continue to grow. We're hoping that end of 2026.
Yes, they said it would TIF 2, this downtown TIF, which is the top line 5 and line 6, which is a big portion of it. It's supposed to expire, I was told, June of 2027, and that would be their last reimbursement, so it would be the 2026 tax roll is when it would expire, and then in 27, that's when it would come back to all the entities. So that assessed value portion you're seeing, it will probably increase over the next few years, but that would be coming back on to the schools, tech centers, counties portion.
But there's nothing to stop them from making some kind of small adjustment to that TIF, and then it would be a new TIF, I guess.
Correct.
Okay, so that would go away, we just have a new one.
One would go away, and then a new 25-year TIF would be starting,
Carve
yes.
out.
Fingers crossed, but
Jason, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it does.
So that's about 2.1 million, somewhere in that range that would come back to general if it were to expire today.
They've already
A lot of
talked about
unknowns
carving
still.
it out.
But you see the overall growth of TIF is higher than ours, so it's 5.26. Say that again? The overall growth in TIF is up 5.26 versus our 4. So you see significant growth.
So you lose to inflation, and then on top of that, the TIFs, and then,
But I think too, some of the good news is our 5-year manufacturing.
yes,
We have more this year. That's somewhat of a trend. When we start looking at business personal, we're starting to see major manufacturers come to the county. So we're seeing more growth there, which has been really good. I mean, got what a Bitcoin place. We've got a
the Bitcoin. Last year theirs was, because we had around that same number, would have been, it was like 44 million, would have been for the 2023 number, but their application was denied. But that goes to the tax commission, and they approve or deny those 5-year manufacturing. It has to meet certain requirements. Theirs was denied, so now we're having to go through a process of putting them on for last year's value.
I think they're appealing to the tax.
They're appealing to the tax commission, and they're appealing to the BOE here after we went through the informal process with them. So that's the number as of now, unless they deny some of the applications that are sent to them, which we have no control over approval or denial on those.
There's a couple new ones too, though. I don't know who lives out west of the airport, but there's that new freezer. Was it Mama's Foods?
Yeah, I think it's Mama's Foods.
That pushed to qualify this year, and several large expansions of the drone company that works just on out west of there as well on council. So we are seeing some good growth in those major companies. So hopefully that's a trend that will continue with us.
And was there another Oklahoma City TIP coming on board for that Class and Curve area?
That's under committee right now. They have not proposed it, but they've assigned a committee, which to me that means that's a yes.
Yeah, I do know, like I said, I know Midwest Cities are for sure this year. Oconto is gonna be a TIF, that Oconto project south of the river. They're just waiting to enact it, but I do know that will be a TIF. So that big project, don't think we're not gonna see any of that, so whatever we'll see on that project is already in the numbers for this year on some of the land value.
So like you're saying, the Midwest City one, it'll be for 2024 taxes?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. It was one that was supposed to be done a few years ago, and the attorney called and they never filed any of the paperwork with us. So,
That is a problem.
as he said, it's not on here, and I said, well, you never gave it to us to do it, so. So they're getting it done so that it'll be on the 2024 taxes. That's all I have unless you have any further questions.
No, it's just, Mike, you pointed it out, the TIF increment increase is almost double what our net assessed increase. All right, is there a motion to receive the document? Motion.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Ayes have it. All right, do we have any other folks presenting today?
Facilities here.
Chris, are you presenting for
Oh, you
facilities?
don't? Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm not CW on the agenda, so I can't do that.
What's
Okay,
capital?
For capital and custodians, that was on the agenda.
Is facilities ready? Is there something?
I think Brenda got their final documents today, so it should be, I should be sending them to you for the next meeting.
okay,
We can wait till Wednesday.
yeah, let's go ahead and wait
We
then.
have the other one on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll just wait till Wednesday.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, anything else we need to take care of today? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Got a motion is second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.